We were at dinner. The kind of dinner where the wine flows a little too easily and people forget what they should keep to themselves. Vanessa had invited her best friend, Sabrina, a woman with a laugh just a bit too loud and a history of oversharing. The three of us had shared meals before, but that night felt different. Maybe it was the way Vanessa kept refilling Sabrina's glass, or the way she avoided eye contact when I asked about her day. The restaurant was dim, the music soft. Everything seemed fine. Laughter, toasts, a sense of ease. Until it wasn't. Sabrina swirled her red wine, giggled, and turned to me with a grin that didn't quite reach her eyes. "So," she asked, eyes gleaming from too much Cabernet, "are you and Marcus still talking again?" The question landed like a body on cold stone. I looked at her. Just looked. Not blinking, not smiling. Letting the silence hold everything. I am not Marcus, but I smiled. Small, polite, practiced. Said nothing, no confusion, no confrontation. Just a quiet, calculated pause. Vanessa froze. A single blink, too slow. Then the laughter came, sharp and unnatural. "She's so drunk," she said, brushing it off like lint from her dress. She meant Noah, obviously. But the panic flickered across her face too fast for her to hide. I nodded, lifting my glass to my lips. My heart didn't race. It slowed, like my body already knew what came next. That night, she fell asleep next to me without a care in the world, curled against me like everything was fine. Maybe to her it was. At 2:07 a.m., I got out of bed. Quiet, barefoot. I'd memorized the sound of the floorboards long ago, stepped around the ones that creaked. Her phone was on the charger. No password. I'd seen her enter it enough times. I didn't start with the messages. I started with the photo albums, the hidden ones. Then I checked the messages. And the deleted messages. And the backups. 2 hours later, I knew everything, every lie. Every time she said just a friend. Every saved photo she never deleted. Every time she told Marcus she missed him, that she wished she'd never left him. By 4:11 a.m., I'd packed a bag, left the keys on the counter. One note. "You kept Marcus. I kept my self-respect." And by the time the sun rose, I was gone. Vanessa always assumed I wasn't the type to snoop. That was her first mistake. I wasn't the jealous type. I didn't storm through rooms looking for phone chargers or read over her shoulder. I never questioned who was texting. I didn't need to. Not because I trusted her blindly, but because I'd learned something more powerful than suspicion. Patience. While she slept soundly in the bed we picked out together, a memory foam mattress that supposedly aligned with our lifestyle. I sat on the floor in the hallway, the dim light of her phone glowing in my hands. 1,000 thoughts should have been racing through my mind, but there was only one. Confirmation. The Photos app was first. She thought hiding things in the recently deleted folder was clever. It wasn't. There were screenshots of messages, a blurry photo taken inside someone's car, definitely not mine, and one picture of her in a silk robe I had never seen her wear at home. I stared at it for a long moment. Not because of what she was wearing, but because of the man's wristwatch on the dresser behind her. I didn't recognize it, but I didn't need to. I knew exactly who it belonged to. Then I opened her messages. Not the ones under Marcus, of course. That would be too obvious. Vanessa was smarter than that. No. Marcus was saved as Mel. And under Mel, the texts weren't even coded. They were plain, unfiltered, intimate. I read them all. I can't stop thinking about that weekend. I missed you today so much it hurt. He doesn't notice anything. It's like I'm living two lives. And finally, the one that stuck with me. I wish I'd chosen you instead. Sent just 4 days ago. I kept scrolling. Photos, voice notes, even a Spotify playlist named Old Us. hidden in plain sight. The more I read, the less angry I became. What filled me instead was clarity. There was no mystery left to unravel. She wasn't confused. She wasn't stuck in some emotional gray area. She had made a choice, again and again, while smiling across the dinner table at me like we were still a team. I didn't react right away. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just sat there, absorbing it all. Every sentence was another inch of distance between us. Every timestamp, a reminder of when she left me emotionally, even if she was still under my roof, sleeping in my bed, using my last name. Eventually, I opened our shared calendar on her phone. Saw the date they went to that concert I couldn't attend because of work. The same night she came home humming the lyrics and said, "It wasn't that great." I saw now that it was, just not for the reasons she admitted. I moved next to her email. No big reveals there, but enough loose threads to confirm she had kept in contact, long after she swore it ended. Airplane tickets, hotel confirmations, 2 reservations for a creative writing retreat in the Catskills. She told me she was going alone. By the time I finished, I realized something. The truth wasn't buried. It was just filed, in folders, chats, hidden albums. She wasn't trying to erase Marcus. She was preserving him, curating a private history parallel to the life we shared. She never deleted him because she didn't want to forget. I stood up, walked into the bedroom, and looked at her one last time. Her face was relaxed, peaceful, like nothing in the world could touch her. I knew if I confronted her, she'd cry, deny, then try to spin it. I also knew that what she feared most wasn't me being angry. It was me being done. So I said nothing. The truth was heavy in my chest, but my silence was heavier. By dawn, the house felt foreign. The walls were still painted with colors we'd chosen together. The photos in the hallway still showed us smiling at beaches, weddings, and Christmas mornings. But all of it had the weight of fiction now, frozen stills from a story I no longer believed in. The truth had changed everything, and I knew I couldn't stay in a place built on that much pretending. I sat at the kitchen table with a mug of coffee I never finished. The silence was louder than I expected. It wasn't the kind of silence that begged to be filled. It was the kind that made a decision feel final. No yelling, no confrontation, no asking why. She didn't deserve that. Vanessa expected a scene. She thought I'd explode, slam the phone down on the counter, demand explanations, cry or scream until the neighbors peeked out their windows. That's how cheaters prepare for discovery. They imagine their partner falling apart so they can feel powerful for surviving the wreckage. But I wasn't going to give her that. She made her choices in secret. I made mine in the open. I packed with precision. Just the essentials. Clothes, documents, the book. I'd been reading. My laptop. I didn't touch anything we owned together. No mementos, no hours. If it had her fingerprints, it stayed. On the counter, I left my keys and my wedding ring. Next to them, I placed a folded note. Just one sentence written in my neatest handwriting. You kept Marcus. I kept my self-respect. There was nothing else to say. I walked through the apartment one last time, not out of sentimentality, but to make sure I hadn't forgotten anything I'd need. As I passed our bedroom, I paused for a brief moment. Vanessa was still asleep, curled up in a way that used to make me feel something. Now, it just looked like someone else's life. I stepped out into the morning light with a calm I hadn't felt in weeks. There were no regrets, only clarity. Staying would have meant dragging myself through conversations she'd already prepared lies for. Leaving meant I got to keep my peace. By 7 a.m., I was driving toward the apartment I'd already signed a lease for, a place I'd picked the week before, once my suspicions hardened into certainty. I hadn't told a soul. It was mine alone. Clean walls, no history, a blank page. As I turned onto the highway, I didn't look back. I didn't check my phone. I didn't wait for the inevitable messages that would come flooding in once she woke up and found me gone. I had made my decision, and it wasn't for revenge. It was for dignity. Sometimes the strongest thing a person can do isn't staying to fight. It's walking away before the war even begins. Vanessa woke up at 8:12 a.m. That much I know because the first message came through at 8:13. Noah, where are you? By then, I was already unpacking in my new place. A quiet apartment on the 3rd floor with clean walls, no photos, and a view of a quiet street. It smelled like fresh paint and possibility. My phone buzzed again. Are you at the gym? You didn't say anything. She still hadn't realized. Not really. Not yet. Then the silence from me stretched too long. At 8:24 a, call. I didn't answer. By 8:30 she knew. Maybe she saw the keys. Maybe she saw the closet half empty. Or maybe she read the note. I imagine she stood there in her robe, holding that small folded piece of paper in her hand, rereading those 10 words over and over, looking for a loophole that wasn't there. You kept Marcus. I kept my self-respect. After that, the messages changed tone. Panic bled into the words. Noah, please, let's talk. I can explain. This isn't what you think. I didn't mean for it to go that far. Excuses. Rearranged like furniture after a fight, trying to make it look new. But I'd already seen the original mess. The screenshots, the messages. The way she said, I miss you, with more sincerity than I'd heard from her in months. She tried calling again at 9:12, then 9:18, then every 20 minutes after that. By noon, she was leaving voicemails, crying into the silence. In one of them, she begged. I love you. I was confused. It was stupid. Just come home, and we can fix this. But she didn't understand. There was nothing left to fix. She'd been living 2 lives, and I was the one left in the dark because I refused to suspect her. Because I gave her the benefit of the doubt when she stopped meeting my eyes. When she claimed Marcus was out of the picture. When she smiled too quickly after texting someone late at night. Around 3 p.m., I turned my phone on Do Not Disturb. I made coffee, sat on the new balcony with the sun warming my face, watched cars pass beneath me and listened to the quiet hum of a world that didn't owe me answers. Later, I opened my laptop and changed my email passwords, closed the joint bank account, removed her as an emergency contact, not out of spite, out of necessity. Vanessa, somewhere across the city, was unraveling. The texts became longer, more desperate. Her final one, before I shut the app completely, simply read, Don't do this. I never thought you'd actually leave. That was the problem. She never believed I would. She thought I'd stay and wait for closure that would never come. That I'd rage, then forgive, then settle for half a heart and half a truth. She underestimated the kind of man who walks away quietly and never looks back. The apartment was quiet, but not in the hollow way that loneliness brings. It was a silence I chose. A silence I owned. I had slept better than I had in months. No tossing, no phantom weight next to me, no questions clawing at the edges of my mind. Morning came with sunlight breaking through unfamiliar windows. I didn't rush to check my phone. I didn't wonder what Vanessa might be doing. I didn't care if she had cried all night or called her sister for advice. That part of my life had ended. Not with an explosion, but with a carefully closed door. I made coffee slowly, the kind of deliberate ritual that told my body it was safe now. I leaned on the balcony railing, sipping from a chipped mug I found in a thrift store near the complex. The world looked the same. Cars, birds, distant sounds of other lives. But I wasn't the same. I sat at my small desk and opened my contact list. Found her name, Vanessa Carter, still there like a forgotten ghost. I hovered for a moment, not because I had second thoughts, but because endings deserve acknowledgement. Then I deleted the contact. No number, no thread to tug on. No way back. I didn't cry. I didn't flinch. I just closed the app and felt the finality of it settle into my bones. My inbox had unread messages, rent confirmations, a message from my sister, a follow-up from the leasing agent. All normal things. Nothing from her. She had finally gone quiet. Or maybe she hadn't. Maybe the silence was only because I stopped listening. I changed my last password that connected us, our old streaming account, the one we used for lazy Sunday nights and fake laughter over shows we both pretended to enjoy. Gone. I didn't need her memory stitched into my leisure time. The strangest part of betrayal is that it doesn't always break you. Sometimes it clarifies everything. It shows you what you were willing to tolerate in the name of comfort. It exposes the difference between being loved and being kept. That day, I took a walk. Just a few blocks. No destination. Just motion. A way to prove that life was still happening. I passed a bakery, bought a croissant, and ate it on a bench. No deep thoughts, no cinematic music playing in my head. Just the air, the quiet, and the taste of something new. Somewhere across the city, Vanessa was probably replaying every word she didn't say, drafting apologies she'd never get to deliver. She might have still been clinging to the hope that I'd call, but I wouldn't. The most honest thing I could offer her was distance. She built a life on borrowed time. I walked away with mine intact. In the end, there was no revenge, no final blow, just the sound of my own footsteps walking into a future that no longer included her. And that was enough.